What is going on, guys? I want to welcome you to a brand new channel. It's the first video of the channel. Basically what we'll be doing on this channel here is taking a look at a more, I guess, educational approach to the game. Here specifically, we're going to be dealing with the whole, sidestep thing and what skill actually is in the game. Now, if you're looking at the team that I put together here, I'm using something that doesn't have much synergy. We have some Saiyans, we have some hybrids, we have the Piccolo there for no reason. We have the level 47 Yuto Koga on the enemy team here. So basically, the point of what we're going to be doing here is blowing through any kind of advantage that we can take from this. So the Bardock, the instant transmission Goku, I'm actually going to be using their gimmicks early before we start this whole catch up business. So the goal here is just to kind of blow through our cards, and ideally I want to have a half health kind of situation going on where one of my characters will be dead, the other one will be half health, and then I'll have one character kind of left over afterwards. And we're going to try and take out all three of his near full health characters without any gimmicks. So there goes the instant transmission here. Just kind of let him do whatever, hoping that he rising rushes at some point so that we can kind of speed this up. I'll probably bring in Bardock very soon here to lock him in and kind of force him to actually pick it up a notch, because he'll feel kind of cornered. Again, I'm trying to use up these gimmicks so that there's no kind of excuses of, oh well, you're replacing the sidestep gimmick with instant transmission gimmicks or Bardock gimmicks or anything like that. So I'm just kind of blowing through cards here, trying to force him to make something happen here. There is the Bardock, so we will lock him in. He's absolutely pummeling me here. And there goes the Rising Rush. So very little chance that he uses the key card here, just because he basically has been nothing but striking us the whole time. No sign of using 17's main ability. So here we go, we eat it. Bardock goes down. Now we still have 18's main ability. There it goes. We're going to try and get rid of that, and then we're going to switch up and turn up the heat. So we dive in with the strike card. Easy dodge for her, immediately catches us with a little bit of a delay, and we're going to pause here. So what do our health bars look like? This is a typical situation, right? Because like I said, this is a level 47 player. This is where a lot of people get stuck on the climb up to 50. That last little push where the pity bot doesn't quite give you enough points to make up for the losses that you're taking if you can't beat players who are actually playing correctly. So you see me, I've been playing kind of like that typical player that just matches his cards and treats it like a turn-based game, which is a term that's been thrown around a lot with this whole sidestep business. Now, when you get into the situation where you need to start outplaying your opponent, this is where you'll know that you're actually improving. This is what I mean by skill, not necessarily being just extending the whole turn-based kind of type of situation with the sidestepping, but actually thinking through a match, right? You're outthinking your opponent. So let's look at these health bars. So I have one character down. My Goku's actually below half health here. My Gohan's taking a little bit of damage, but it's nothing significant here, no more than he has. Now all three of his characters relatively full health. So we have to kind of evaluate what our plan is when we're going into these matches, right? So let's kind of give ourselves a little checklist here. So the first thing, above all else, don't let yourself get baited. That is the first thing. When you look at different PvP videos on how to PvP and stuff like that, they talk about the bait a lot. Throwing out that random key blast, it's something where if you want to climb, you're going to have to look at animations. So we're going to talk about two things here with the baits. The first one being the key blast, that kind of, that singular one that you just toss out and can react immediately if they vanish type thing. That we're going to be watching our opponent's arms. If that arm goes up, then we're just going to keep moving to the side, or we're just going to eat it. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't do much damage. And the second thing is another thing, which actually I was lucky enough that I got footage of it in this video, where the opponent will try to just dash forward. That is not a strike card, and you can tell the difference between the two of them because the strike card will actually put that exclamation point over your head. It's very subtle. You have to be looking for it, but obviously if you're trying to play a high level, well, you need to get used to sharpening your reflexes, watching your opponent, and so on and so forth. So we're going to look for those two things, and we're going to try to bait. We're also going to be trying to mix up our playstyle. So confusing your opponent is a very, very big advantage that you can hold if they are predictable and you are not, right? So if you are, let's say, vanishing and attacking immediately, that trains them to think that they should, spam their vanish early. If you are waiting it out, that throws a whole curveball into their game plan, right? So now you can kind of go back and forth between attacking immediately, delaying it, and making yourself less readable, right? The next thing we're going to do is we need to even up this vanish situation. So he has 3 characters, I have 2. One that is weakened already. So we're going to want to get our Rising Rush and kind of even the odds. Now, when to Rising Rush is going to be largely dependent on the matchup. Now, in this particular situation, I would honestly be happy with Rising Rush on any 3 of these, right? He has a very synergized team. We saw at the beginning there in the loading screen that he has, full synergy. He's got them all high level. He's using the cell, which is very powerful, has very high damage stats. The 17 has the cover damage reduction, and the 18, as well as the 17 actually, they both have, both androids here have the type advantage on my 2 remaining units. So, the 18 already used her main ability, so that it tells me that he's probably going to sack the 18 if I do Rising Rush here. Which I will, because she just used her Vanish in order to hit me with that main ability. So, I'm not too worried about a key card coming out here, just because of all the usage that was put into the Rising Rush, and then using the main ability. Probably low on key here, so I can kind of just dash and grab this last Dragon Ball. Ideally, I would sidestep out of the strike card, just because I want that Dragon Ball, but because this video is focused on not using the sidestep whatsoever, I'm actually just going to go in here, and if she does switch, I'd be happy rushing either one of them, just because if I get the 17 low, then that removes kind of an annoying part of this matchup where the 17 can kind of cover damage reduction on my combos. And then obviously the cell, a very scary opposition with that main ability still up, so we're going to look to bait that out later on as well. So let's just rush right in here. I do believe that he does sack the 18, as I thought. Trying to save that 16. Let's have a look. Yeah, he does. So he's going to keep the cell and the main ability there to try and probably one-shot my Goku or do some major damage to my Gohan here with the protection of the 17. But at least he doesn't have a triple vanish advantage going in here. So again, first mission, don't get baited. So you'll see here, I try to throw the bait, he doesn't take it, so I say, okay, fine, let's let him make the move. So watch the arms, right? Don't vanish. Notice at the beginning I was kind of vanishing that. Now here's a perfect example of what I was saying with the dashing forward. He tried to dash forward to hit me with the super card. That's a big no-no. Don't get baited by that. If I would have vanished there, he would have hit me with his super. It would have been very bad. Again, don't take the bait. I let it hit me. Here, this is a real dash because of that exclamation point. Hit him with another combo. Just let him know. Keep him guessing. How is he supposed to attack me when I can read all his moves, right? Switch out to maintain my priority here. Again, don't take the bait. This is a real one. Go in. Now, notice the delay on that attack, right? I don't just kind of brainlessly vanish like I was at the beginning. I'm pacing myself. Here I go for the kill on the 17, but he does switch in the cell, which is smart by him because now he still maintains kind of like an ability to vanish and cover change. I mean, he'll die if he cover changes, but it's better than just flat out losing the cell. Here it comes out the main ability. We're going to look to bait this out. So he steps a little bit too close, and I go in here, force his dodge out, but I delay my vanish. And that allows me to watch for that exclamation point. If you're just mindlessly kind of dashing during your combo, a little bit of lag actually here. I was really scared that he was going to DC. That would have been very sad. Now I'm going to pause over onto this little clip here because if you'll notice, kind of a lot going on here. I know it's a lot to take in. We'll probably go over our missions again later, but if you'll notice, our Gohan switches in and vanishes there, never even really showing on the map, right? That's because you can actually cast your vanish animation, so that kind of little sidestep vanish move that you have to do while you're switching. So this kind of puts your opponent off a bit because they never actually see the Gohan appear on the map. I just kind of appear next to him mid animation, which allows me to kind of, take him off guard and hit him with that super card, which actually finishes off the cell altogether. Very, very important to, again, keep the element of surprise. If you're just kind of automatically switching characters so that, the opponent knows to look for that vanish, then again, you're being predictable, right? So doing it once in a while is fine. And then again, here I kind of do it last second, just so that he goes, what is going on, right? And this is the impact you want to have every time. So the cell goes down. Now, as we move on to this next clip, I'm actually looking for him to throw out a desperation key blast here. He pretty much loses no matter what here, and I'll explain to you in a second here. But unfortunately, we get a bit of lag. I actually turn on the Rising Rush, but it doesn't go off, and I get hit by that. That's actually the first time I've been hit since we paused last time after the Rising Rush. Now, what you're seeing here is a little, I guess, a high level move, you can say. I'm sure you've seen people like, I believe Vlad does it, #1 player in the world, and a lot of high players actually do this. This is where I was kind of mentioning that actual skillful maneuvers aren't limited to the sidestep, right? So what I do here is, he has no health. I can finish him with, I have 75 key. I can easily just spam all these, even if he did survive one card, which he won't. But I'm looking to hit him once and end the match. Now, if I use my Rising Rush here, what do you think he's going to do? He has his Vanish, obviously, so he's going to vanish it. Is that a problem? Absolutely not, because of this maneuver here. So let's run through it here. So I use the Rising Rush. I dash forward. Now notice how I immediately activate a strike card. And what that does is, if your Rising Rush misses and you have a strike card queued up, it will actually cancel out of that Rising Rush animation, and even though he's still in his Vanish animation, I'm going to change direction and already start my attack for when he appears, and there is absolutely no way that he can counterplay this. He just dies, and here we see him get hit, and the match is over, and worst case I have the cards to finish him. So the Gohan getting very little use, but essentially, it was a no-lose situation for me in that. At the end there was no counterplay. He just died. He should have died when he used that Key Blast card. Lag kind of played into his favor. Kudos to him for not tilting and just disconnecting out of the match. I was a little worried for a second there, but thankfully he stuck it through and fought through the lag, and we ended up pulling out the win. So that's going to be it for this kind of analysis. I just wanted to kind of take a second and point out the different ways that you're supposed to be controlling your opponent, maintaining priority, playing mind games, not letting yourself get baited. These are all things that, in my opinion, are the core skill sets to bring to PvP. Now, as far as sidestep goes, listen guys, I'll be real with you. It's not something that makes the game fun, and when I first learned it, I've been playing for roughly a month, maybe a bit over a month now. So, I'm relatively new to the game, but I climbed very quickly just because you can see that I'm, I guess, an analytical player. So I like to, learn different strategies, and this is where my problem with sidestepping comes in. I mentioned this on the forums for those of you coming from different forums. I think I mentioned it on Reddit as well. If we continue with this sidestep the way it is now, we are limiting the future of the game. So for example, my team to climb right now, if I want to just say, okay, I'm going to climb to rank 50 instantly and just one day it, I run 16 with Gohan and Bardock. And what I do is I lock someone in with Bardock, I blow up 16 to eliminate that person. Gohan goes completely crazy, and basically, my opponent essentially has one opportunity to outplay me, or he just loses the whole match. So if I hit him once, the combo is essentially it goes on forever, regardless of type advantage. Gohan is just berserk, and I just sidestep, 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 and he dies, and there's nothing he can do about it. If he switches, he dies twice. And then once that second character is eliminated, then I have my Rising Rush for the third guy, and you saw what I can do with Rising Rush, right? There's just no counterplay. Yeah, it's fun the first time. These seasons last 2 weeks. It's fun the first time. You kind of climb through. Last season, honestly, I was working on this YouTube channel. I didn't even bother PvPing. I think I got rank 40, 41 or something like that, whatever it is, to get that second tier of rewards, just because it's very similar to rank 50. You get like maybe 500 less medals, a bit less crystals, and so on and so forth. But it's the type of thing where playing the exact same team got really, really boring. Instead, I found that I was having more fun, kind of looking through the abilities, seeing the friendships that I wanted to level up for the next update, which I'll talk about in a future video here. I don't want to get into that too much here, but this is more of a sidestep focused video. But there was just no reason for me to run anything but that Bardock 16 Gohan team, and when you can forego team synergy in a type, or not type, but the tag sense, I wasn't really buffing anything. It was literally just for their gimmicks and the sidestep, making it all kind of mesh together. When you have Bandai that's looking at it and saying, hey, we noticed that this is a problem, I think that they're looking at it from a production standpoint. When you can't have things like the 16 Gohan interaction happen, otherwise it just kind of forces you to use that. That's not fun. And people saying, oh, it's gonna become a turn-based game. I mean, just look at what I just showed you, right? That's not turn-based. You're thinking ahead, right? If you think that the game is turn-based, then that means you're not thinking ahead, right? You're thinking in the moment, making it feel like it's turn-based. And sidestepping, let's be real, you're just adding more cards to that turn that you're playing in. So again, I disagree with people who think removing sidestep, and I mean, they're not even removing sidestep, they're saying that they're going to change it. So for example, the whole dodging out of a strike card maneuver to just get Dragon Balls, for example, that may stay in the game, right? This was in the game intentionally for a reason. I think that we just found kind of a gray area, like not an exploit. It is something that I guess was okay for the current state of the game until this whole Gohan 16 interaction. But I think that they realized that if they release more synergies like that, or character designs, think of Hard Virus Goku, right? Think of Pan, think of those kinds of characters that can kind of literally endlessly combo people. If we have different game modes, what if you end up having to use something ridiculous like that just to beat a raid boss, because you can just keep the raid boss infinitely locked. There's just too much that is dependent on this being changed, or I think it should be just removed, period. But a change would be welcome. If they do it right, then great. So yeah, I don't want to keep this video going too long. We're almost at 20 minutes here. So that being said, for this actual channel, I am going to be posting Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Obviously, this is the first video. I'll probably, if there's anything that I can improve upon, then be sure to let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe. Obviously, there's gonna be lots of content coming, and I'll obviously get better at speaking, apparently. So, without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed. See ya.